Welcome back to my channel, guys. In this video we'll learn how to sew this front twist dress. It can be used for a blouse or a dress like it's on my thumbnail. So it has a half length, so you can attach a skirt to it to make it a dress. All right, so we just learn how to draft or cut the half cut with that rope or belt to create that twist. Right, so this is my basic bodies, and from my starting point I have my half length, which is 16 inches, and I added 2 inches to it to make it 18. Okay, the half inch is for seam allowance. Now my front half length is longer by 2 inches because of the burst that. All right, so now I'm going to get my bust span, which is nipple to nipple. The one I'm working with, it is 4 inches, which I already marked. I'll get my bust point from my starting point. There is 11 inches for my bust points. This is going to aid me to create the dart. So I'll just mark out 11 inches and connect the points like so. Remember I said the front half length is longer. It should be longer by 2 inches because we'll create a bust dart. So on my bust point, I also mark out my bust span of 4 inches, and I'll connect it to the marked out point I have on my waist. This is my dart leg. So I'm going to take a dart of 1 inch on both sides of that straight line there. So take 1 inch on both sides and I'll connect it. And please, I've already marked out my bust measurement and my waist. On my waist, I added back the dart of 2 inches that I took away to my waist measurement. Okay, so whatever that you're removing, you will add it back to avoid any shortage, right? So I'll connect this 1 inch that I marked on both sides of my dart leg to my bust points like this, right? So I have my waist dart. I'm going to create my bust dart, okay, which is that 2 inches we added. We are going to create it, use it for our bust dart. Okay, so from on my bust line, I'm going to come down by 2 inches, mark it, and I'm going to connect it like this to my bust points, right? So we'll be closing our bust dart. So by the time we close our bust dart, you would see that the side of our front and the back would eventually be the same length. All right, so just know that the extra 2 inches that we added for the full length is what we used for the bust, that which would eventually close, so that the front half length and the back half length will be equal. So what I will do now is to cut this out, and then I'll cut out my waist dart like this. Please guys, if you're still watching, please click on the like button. It is absolutely free. Subscribe if you've not yet subscribed, and turn on your notification bell so you get notified each time I post a video. Thank you. So I've cut out my dart. Okay, let me see. Now I am going to cut these 2 inches that I marked, that is the bust, that cut it up until my bust point, that place, but I won't cut everything out. Okay, you would leave it so that it will be flexible, so that you'll be able to close it. So you place it exactly on the bust line like I am doing. And if you notice, I didn't cut out the excess that is on the side, so that if there's any need to blend, I will still have some space to blend it on the sides. So once you close your bust dart like this, you would hold it down with your tape, and as you can see, the lines there don't match anymore. That means I would have to blend. So I'll just go ahead and blend up the line like this. Can you see what I did? All right, so I will now go ahead and cut that off after blending, right? So here is what I have. If you can see that, if you measure, you realize that the size will eventually be 16 and a half. 16 inches is the half length and half is for joining, so it's going to match up the back half length and the front length eventually match up. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut this out like this. I'll create my armhole curve and just use my sellotape to, hold down the places that needs to be held down. It's trying to do my armhole curve, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'll add half-inch allowance on my shoulder for joining. Cut up my neckline, and the neckline, the purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to cut the front twist, there. The neckline and every other thing depends on your preference. All right, so I have my front bodice ready now, my front half length. Okay, so we'll now go ahead and place this on our fabric in order to cut it out on our fabric, and just keep watching and I'll show you how to go about that to achieve that belt that will eventually be tying for the front. Now I folded my fabric into two, and as you can see, I folded it into two and I placed the pattern on it. Can you see how the pattern is? And once you place your pattern like this, you will measure the space you have on that there. You will have 4 inches. So I have 4 inches there. So what I want to do is to mark the straight line, yeah, using the dart as a guide. So what I will do is from the folded area to the first part of my dart, I have 3 inches. So in order to get a straight line, I will just mark out 3 inches, okay, for the measurement there, and I'll mark out the length of my belt. Okay, I'm marking 20 inches for the length of my belt. So I'll mark out 3 inches from my folded part to the first part of my dart, like just like I am doing. This will enable me to get a straight line. So mark it out up to the length of the belt, and then connect it with a straight line like so. Then from there, remember we have 4 inches for that opening of the dart, so I'll just mark 4 inches from that first line to the other line of the dart, that's the other dart leg. Mark out 4 inches up to the length of the belt, and then you connect it like so as well. So we have the width of the belt is going to be 4 inches, okay, and then the length depends on what you want. If you want the belt to really be long so that it can even go to your back or be tied to your back, you can make it longer, maybe 40 inches, but I'm just going to make my 20, 25 or 30 because it's just going to be tied at the front. So now you're going to add half-inch allowance on each side of the dart, that is the lines that we marked. This is to join, because you'll be folding these belts, right? So you will need half-inch on both sides to join it together, which is exactly what I'm doing. So once you mark out your allowance, that is actually all for this part. I actually added more inches to the length of my belt because I wanted it a little bit longer. So what I was doing here was just adding extra inches to make my belt longer, right? So here is what I have. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. That is actually what it takes to get the, let's call this a cut together bodice with the belt, because you won't be attaching the belt separately, you're just cutting it together with the bodice, right? That's the half length. So watch as I'm cutting. I didn't add any allowance at the hem of the bodice because I already did add it on the pattern. So only added on each side of the belt so that I'll use it and join. So you just cut it like this, cut the size, then the armhole and the neckline and every other place that needs to be cut. Remember to add your allowance where you did not on the pattern. Okay, so after cutting, here is what I have. I'll just take off the pins and then open this up and you see what it looks like. So here is what it looks like. This is the half length. So by the time I fold and so this is what it will give space or make room for the bust, and then we'll also have our our belt created or formed. Now I'll go ahead and join the belt. So I'll fold it to the wrong side like this. Okay, remember the half inch we added on each side. I'll go to my machine and sew with half inch all the way down and also close it up. So sew it with half inch and close it up. I'll do the same thing for the other side of the belt, for this side as well. Sew with half of an inch and close it up. So here I'm sewing, I'm doing just that. Please, if you're still watching up to this point, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel if you're not yet subscribed. Thank you for the support. So I have done that, and as you can see, I notched this part. Okay, so I notched this part just little, half of an inch notch. Is necessary because it's going to help you to join the lower parts. So if you're joining the lower parts as a blouse or you're joining it like a skirt to it to create a dress, you have to create that notch so that it will be easy for you to join the lower parts to the half bodies. And I'm going to just poke out the belt, like turn it inside out, bring it out like this. And here is what I have. I'll just stick to I'll use my iron and iron it flat. Okay, now see what I have because of that notch I made. So the notch will make it easier for you to fix the down part so that the belt or the rope will not be in the way. So I'll just go ahead and iron this really flat so that it looks nice and easier to fix the lower part. Okay, so here's the lower part. I'm making a blouse, so this is the lower part I'll be attaching to it. If you're attaching a peplum or skirt, whatever it is you're attaching, just get it. This is at the point where you get to attach it after ironing. So I have ironed it and I would just flip the belt upward like this, and it will create room for a half inch that I would use and join the lower part. So I notched the midpoint of both the lower part and the upper part, so I'll just match the notch and I'm going to start sewing with half of an inch. I would take your time to do this. So let me flip it to this side so that you see what I'm doing. So here is the notch that I made here. So I'll just make sure I hold them together so that they are just together like this. Hold it down with the pin. Do the same thing for this side. Make sure the notches are together and I'll hold it down with the pin. Go ahead and sew it with half of an inch, and I've done just that. See what it looks like. See the dots, and Here's what the front looks like. All right, see how neat it's looking. So you make sure that you sew it well. Just take your time to do this part. And here is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead and attach the back bodice to this, and by the time I tie it, this is what is going to look like. So that is it for how to achieve this twist on the front for this type of, for this style. I'll go ahead and attach the back bodice to this, and voila, that is actually all for this tutorial, guys. Here's the finished look. I think it looks nice. So guys, go ahead and click on the like button, subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed, and please click on the notification bell so that you get notified each time I post a video. See you in my next one.